Good evening, good evening, and welcome to a new edition of Urban Sentinel Live. I want to welcome all my viewers to Monday night, Monday night. We're in the house. Got a great show here tonight. Tonight's guest is James C. Birdsong Jr., gospel artist all the way from the ATL. That's Atlanta, Georgia for you guys that don't know what the ATL stand for. So, James, how you doing tonight?
God bless you, Reggie. How you all doing?
Hey, I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. Trying to stay a little warm up here tonight in Maryland. The weather wasn't so nice today. It rained and it was cloudy, but gosh, hey, I thank God for another day. So I'm okay because the sun wasn't
Amen.
there. It was still a good day. James, I really appreciate you taking time out to be with us tonight. To spend a little time with us, so we can talk about your what you're doing in your career and everything like that. So to get started, I'd like to know. I want you to tell me something about your journey, James. Tell me about your journey.
Well, first, again, I want to thank you, Reggie, for having me on the show tonight, and I want to thank everybody that's watching all over the world, and especially to all of the readers, subscribers of Urban Sentinel magazine. And Reggie, I just want to congratulate you on this publication,
Thank
and
you.
this is truly as a blessing. I had a chance to look at the magazine myself, and
Mhm.
people like you and others, you all picking up where Ebony and Jet and Essence had left off.
Okay, now. Okay, I
So
appreciate that.
so I appreciate it very, very much. And
Mhm.
so, in our conversations, and as people know, God has blessed me in my journey. I'm originally from Richmond, California, in the San Francisco Bay Area. And my parents were the late Reverend James C. Birdsong Sr. My father was originally from Greenwood, Louisiana, a small country town near Shreveport. And my father was a minister, a disabled community right activist in my hometown. And he was a gifted, talented singer, but he had opportunities to record, but my father never pursued that opportunity. My mom
Mhm.
told me this story years ago, and my father died in 1997 when I was 17 years old. He died during the final week of my high school 11th grade year when I was in finals, because I was going to go visit him for Father's Day, during that time, and he was going to go to Louisiana for our family reunion on his late mother's side of the family. So I couldn't go with him because my mother said, my parents was already divorced 2 years prior. She said, James, I want you to graduate from high school on time next year.
Mhm.
My mother, she wasn't playing around. She was real serious. So I'm grateful for that. And my mother's Belinda Germany Birdsong. She lives here in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And as you know, Reggie, and as the public know, people all over the United States, around the world, I am blessed to be a member of the world-renowned famed Birdsong family. And those of you who may not know, my family consists of I've been blessed with three cousins, and they definitely are icons and made an impact in the careers and in the society, especially in the Black community. One of them is the legendary Cindy Birdsong. For those of you who back during the Motown era, this is before my time. She started out with Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells in the 1960s. And then when Florence Bauer left the Supremes, Cindy replaced her in the group in Donna Ross's Supremes. So in the 70s, the Supremes went their way, and Cindy, went solo, and she is in ministry now. So that's what she does now. And so growing up, my father, had talked about her. And then you have Otis Birdsong. He's a retired NBA All-Star Pro basketball player. He was an NBA All 4 times, and he played for 12 seasons during his 12-year career for three different teams. And one of the teams he played for was the Kansas City Kings. This before they went to Sacramento. So he played for that team. Then he played for the New Jersey Nets. And then the last team he played for was for the team that Larry Bird played for. You know which team I'm talking about.
Right, right,
In
right.
Boston.
Boss.
And then on January 21st of 2019, our family lost a man that was very special, not only to me, but our whole family. And that's my beloved cousin, the late Edwin Birdsong. He died last year in Los Angeles, California, at the age of 77. And those of you who remember the 70s, Edwin was part of that funk disco era of the 70s. He
Mhm.
recorded 5 albums between 1971 to 81. And my cousin worked with Roy Ayers. He worked with Billy Preston and other artists. But my cousin was best friends with Stevie Wonder. So Stevie Wonder, he's family to the Birdsong family.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, 2 weeks after Edwin passed away, Reggie, Stevie Wonder joined my family in LA at the memorial service. And there's a video on him on YouTube playing the piano, talking about Edwin. They were real close. They worked together, traveled together, worked in the studio and everything. And my cousin also knew Michael Jackson, because if you remember when Michael went through that second incident, I called Edwin. I was living in the Bay Area, and I called him one day. He said, "Cuz, I'm going to go to Neverland Ranch." And so I told him, I said, tell Michael hello when you see him. But he didn't get a chance to talk to Michael. He said Michael came out and went about his business, because Michael Jackson was doing some kind of appreciation event at Neverland. So my cousin was going over there during that time. Mm-hmm. And so my cousin's music's been sampled by a lot of today's rappers like Snoop Dogg and others. But in 2008, Reggie, Kanye West, do you remember when he did Stronger?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you look in the credits, I need everybody to listen to me. If you look in the credits, Edwin's name is listed, because what Kanye West did, he sampled Cola Bottle Baby. Mm-hmm. And that's a song that Edwin recorded. My cousin recorded back in 1979. He was signed to Philadelphia International Records, Kenny Gamble, Leon Huff's record company.
Right.
So Edwin did his fourth album with them, and Cola Bottle Baby was on that project. So that song was sampled by Kanye West, and when he won the Grammy for Stronger, I called my cousin Edwin. I was at Georgia Institute of Technology one evening, because the gospel choir called Gifted, they were doing some event there. Mm-hmm. And I used to support them during my college years. I went to college at Blue Heights University. So I called my cousin, and he was a voting member of the recording cabinet for many years. He said, "Cuz, we won that Grammy tonight." So that was a blessing to our family. Mm-hmm. And also the French group, The Punk, I'm sure you heard of them. They were in France. They did a song called Harder, Faster, Stronger, and they sampled Cola Bottle Baby, my cousin's song, for their song, and that won his second Grammy Award.
Okay.
And I have a cousin in Los Angeles, Edwin's granddaughter. She's an opera singer. And then I have another cousin, his daughter Angela. I want to say hello to her this evening. She's a radio personality. You know, she's been trying to interview me for a long time. So I said, I'm gonna wait till when I go back to LA.
Right.
And then I had two cousins who passed away recently. One of them was a singer. She was old school like Mahalia Jackson. And the other one was a gifted musician.
Okay.
And so, you know, there's others in the family. So now you have yours truly, Cindy Birdsong Jr., continue that tradition, mm-hmm. but building on legacy at the same time. So I just thank God for what he has done for this family and everything. And we appreciate all the support. Because like I said, everybody out there knows about the family, and even what God's allowed me to do now. Mm-hmm. So I'm grateful for that.
Well, it seems like you got a lot of you've had and do still have a lot of entertainers in your family. So, and it seems like their music was around R&B, you know, old school music. Gospel. So how did you end up in gospel? You know, you had many different avenues to take, but you chose the gospel road. Even though I know you said that your father was a pastor, how did you end up choosing gospel music route to go?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. See, growing up in Richmond, California, I grew up listening to gospel music. Gospel music was always playing in our house. Mm-hmm. And, you know, even though the neighborhood we lived in, I'm one of those children from the inner city in Richmond, California. So, you know, our house was a gathering place, and everybody will come over to the house, because my father was one of the icons of our city. The mayor, the school districts, everybody knew the churches, everybody. Mm-hmm. So, you know, growing up, my father, you know, he had those old school 45 LP records. Now, he loved Reverend James Cleveland. Yes, he did.
We all did.
Yes, I grew up listening to Reverend Cleveland too. Uh-huh. My father loved Sam Cooke and the Soulsters. He would sing. I remember my father would sing the songs around the house, in the car, and everything like that. And my father, he was a big fan of Reverend Cleophas Robinson. Mm-hmm. I know you. I know you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He was out of St. Louis, Missouri. So my
Mhm.
father was a big fan of his music, the Caravans. My father had records by the Harmonizing Four. We're going way back now.
Right, right.
He had the Blind Boys records, all those old school records.
Okay.
And when I was growing up in the 80s in the Bay Area, you know, we had the Hawkins family, Edwin, Walter, Tremaine, Lynette, the whole Hawkins family. And so, you know, when I was growing up, you know, even though I was raised in the church and everything else, I remember we had a gospel radio station called KDIA 1310 AM. And I'm sure, Reggie, you remember this. You remember back in the day when our favorite songs would come on the radio, we would get a cassette tape and record it off of the air. You
Man,
know what I'm talking about.
look, stop telling everybody how old I am, though. Okay, now.
I know. But my mother used to take those cassette tapes. She would record the gospel music off our radios in the churches and all of that. So I grew up around this.
Right.
And I sung in the church choir growing up, and you know when I was like 10, 11 years old and so forth. But it wasn't until when I was 16 years old that I really took it seriously. So what I did was I went to Fairfield High School in Fairfield, California. Graduated in 1998, and about a year after my parents divorced, when I was 15, the internet. We started getting internet access during that time. This was in the 90s, during the Bill Clinton years. And so I remember I will go to the library and I will go on during our lunch break, and I will go online. And I had a friend named Furman. So we would go on the internet and read about our favorite gospel Christian artists, the record labels, and all of that. You know, Kirk Franklin, Shirley Caesar, Timothy Wright, all of them. Even the artists that he liked to listen to, Angela Veronica and Jackie Velactis and others.
Right.
And so so during that same time, I was in the 10th grade. I had a English teacher. Her name was Mrs. French. I grew up in the special education program. And so, you know, from Richmond, California. So she asked the class to write a paper. So I wrote a paper about the gospel music industry. And Reggie, I got an A on that paper. And that right there was my motivation. I said, okay, if I'm gonna pursue this industry, I got to learn the business side of the industry. Because people, you know, they could sing and play all they want to and everything, but you got to be educated about the business, and that's what our young people need to know. You got to learn about the business. And so what happened was the next year when I was 7, before my father died, I went on a field trip in San Francisco. And when I went on this field trip, my mother gave me about $25, you know, money for me to take. And so during the lunch break, when we was in San Francisco, the class, I was a TA for my teacher, who I was her TA, and I was a student the next year in high school. So I went to her class on a field to San Francisco, a fashion tour. So during the lunch break, I went to the Virgin record store in San Francisco. It was a big place, big music store. I never seen nothing like that in my life. And so I went over to the gospel music session, and when I was there, Reggie, I saw the magazine stand, and there was a magazine that it took my attention, called Gospel Today magazine.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Teresa Harrison, yes.
Yeah.
And so this was the June 1997 issue. I was 16 years old, going on 17, and around that time, and this was during the time Kirk Franklin and God Property had stopped. So on this cover of Gospel Today magazine, it was Susan Douglas and Robert Townsend of The Parenthood. I used to watch that show when I was in high school. So I looked at that magazine, I went through it, I said, wow, this is so cool. And so I put the magazine down and I walked off. But you know how it is when something catches your attention, you find yourself going back to it. I kept myself going back to that magazine about 2 or 3 more times. I said, I'm gonna buy this magazine. So I brought the magazine, I read it, and the next year I subscribed to it for the next 5 years. That magazine really educated me about the business of gospel music. And so after I graduated from high school, God started doing me about moving to Atlanta, Georgia. I was like 21 at the time. And so I was like, okay, God, you allow me to learn the business and everything. You know, you blessed me with a family with a strong legacy in the music industry and ministry as well. I'm like, I want to go where it is. And this was during the time that Atlanta, people were talking about Atlanta was the place for blacks during that
Right,
time.
right.
Because the people I went to high school with, and we was not really trying to go talk about Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mother, he told me, she said, James, we're gonna go, but we gotta wait on God, and He's gonna bless us to go. So in 2005, we put everything in storage. After 10 years living in Fairfield, California, the same apartment complex, we put everything in storage, and we stepped out on faith and came down to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And we were homeless for a little bit when we got here. Now we
Mm-hmm.
didn't come straight here from California. We went
Right.
to Dallas, Texas during the time Hurricane Katrina happened, and during that same time, even before, I was already connecting with people in the industry, especially here in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew I was on my way here. So God brought me here, went to a Christian university, Real Heights University, while I was meeting people in the industry, connecting with people, and things just took off, and it's really, really progressing now.
Okay.
All that because of faith and trust in God.
Right. That's good. Sometimes you got to wait until the Lord tells you to move before you move. And that was a good thing that you and your mother did. Now, I didn't realize that Atlanta was a strong destination for gospel singers. I didn't know I know they had the R&B hip hop.
Right.
ATL, now they call it the Dirty South.
True.
So I didn't realize that Atlanta had so much input into the gospel industry. So that's good to know and everything. So we're in this pandemic right now, while we've been, the world has been shut down. God shut the world down, so we've been dealing with pandemic. How do you think gospel music how do you think gospel music is influencing and helping people during this time of this pandemic?
You know what? I've been doing interviews and people have been asking me about my opinion about COVID-19. It has been a challenge for all of us. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, if you sing gospel, or you're a rapper, or a young person, or a politician, or a business person, or a teacher. It had affected all of us because because a lot of us had plans, especially in the industry. The Stellar Awards was going to be this past March, but Don Jackson and his staff had canceled it till August, to see how the pandemic was going to turn out. And so with the cases going up, they decided to do it virtually. So that's what they did. Like, for instance, I was nominated for the Gulf Coast Gospel Music Awards in the Gulf Port of Mississippi. It was scheduled for September 26th. But Lakeisha Cotton, the founder and the CEO, I want to say hello to her this evening. She and her team did a Facebook Live maybe about a month or so prior, and they made a decision they're going to have to do it virtually. Now, I did not win recently, but I just thank God I was nominated, because this is major. I was nominated for Kingdom Influencer of the Year. Not only what I do in the industry, but my business background in the industry. I'm gonna talk about that as well. So the Dove Awards is being being virtual, and even the Gospel Music Worship of America Commission this past July was virtual. So it has really affected and everything. But we cannot let this stop us from going for what God had called us and purposed us to do, because he is going to make a way and make provisions and open doors for us to, like, even though we can't gather in the physical sense, like they say, the show must go on. Right. So I just want to encourage all my industry friends to keep going strong. And like my mother told me before my father divorced, she said it will not always be this way.
Right. Yeah, we're gonna go through struggles. We're gonna go through trials and tribulations, and no one was ever told that it's gonna be an easy road. Called the journey of life was going to be an easy road. So look, we had talked recently. So I want you to tell me briefly, and tell our viewers briefly about your foundation. Give us a brief breakdown of your foundation.
Oh, sure. God gave me a vision. We recently received our 501c3. I am the founder, president, executive director of Birdsong Association of Broadcasting Artists Incorporated, BABA. That's Obama. And what that's going to do is going to help our African American youth here in Atlanta, Georgia, because our main operation is here. Then we're going to have a second operations in Los Angeles, but we put in the LA operations on hold due to the recent passing of my cousin Terrence Birdsong, who was our founding board member, and he was going to be the director of operations in LA. And we're going to have a third operation in New York. And it's going to help our African American youth to pursue their dreams and goals in mute performing arts and media broadcasting. We're going to have different programs and initiatives for them. We talk about the next media broadcasters, the next singers, actresses, actors, media personalities, journalists, and music educators and studio producers, songwriters, anything in those career fields. Because I'm a person that's for our young people, and they are the next generation to do this. And so we're gonna have different programs, initiatives for them. We're gonna do a partnership because I'm a strong advocate of our HBCUs. And we're going to do a partnership with about 39 HBCUs, with this organization. We're going to have scholarships. We're going to do an annual gospel concert, be up here together. We're going to do different workshops, programs, and events. And we're going to also partner with the school districts here, LA, New York, and abroad, nationwide.
Mhm.
So, we getting ready to, our website hopefully should be up this week, and we're getting ready to start the process now. And God has blessed me with a good publicist that's been very instrumental with this, because she's really gonna do a major media marketing campaign for us nationally with this organization. So God gave me this vision, and I just thank God for it. And He placed the right people in my path with the administration and board, and people have been supporting this because they say, this right here is going to help our young people to get to those levels. So I'm grateful to God, and this is another addition in the legacy of the Birdsong family, because we believe in helping and giving back to others. So the public will hear a lot about this organization.
Good, good, good. That is good. That is good. So where do you see gospel music going in the future? And the reason I ask you that, I think over the years, I would say in the last probably this century, the last 20 years, gospel
Hmm.
music has really taken off. I've seen the flavor change, that we've gone from
Hmm.
the contemporary old school gospel to now, sometimes when you listen to gospel music, you can't tell if you listen to hip hop, you listen to Snoop Dogg,
Hmm.
who you're listening
Right.
to. But, I feel like the gospel music is a way to get to people that you kind of bring into the church and everything. And sometimes you got to go with what's current to get the ears of those listeners, in order
True.
to get them to move along and to turn their lives over to Christ. So where do you
Hmm.
see gospel music going in the future? Because this how I am. When gospel music first came out, when Dorsey first did his first song in gospel, people didn't
Yeah.
like it because they said,
Right.
"Oh, he's taking away from the hymns in the church," and he
Hmm.
progressed. And then when Kirk Franklin came along, there were pastors. I know it even happened in my church because my pastors are older gentlemen.
Oh
They didn't
yeah.
they didn't want to let the choir sing let the youth choir sing Kirk Franklin, but eventually he
Yeah.
came along. So where do you see gospel music going in the future?
Rachel, I'm glad you asked that question, my brother, because of last month I participated in an industry discussion with me and some of my industry colleagues from different parts of the country, and this same question was asked.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, the music industry in general, it changes. It's like every 10 years it changes. Now you mentioned Thomas Dorsey. Now you know what he experienced. Then Sister Rosetta Thorpe, she what she has done, but the people in the church was criticizing her because they were saying her music was too bluesy.
Mm-hmm.
And also, and in the 60s, when Edwin Hawkins did Oh Happy Day, they took an old song, 18th century hymn, and converted to that, which started the contemporary gospel music movement, which him and Tremaine and Walter was a part of, along with Andre Crouch and Rance Allen and others. And then in the 80s, when I was coming up, you had the Wine and Take Six and Commission. Then in the 90s, Yolanda Adams and Kirk and Hezekiah and John P. Key and others. Then Mary, Trinity 57 and others. But yeah, gospel music is changed. It changes like every 10 years. But I see the younger generation. They really gonna take it to a different level, and in those areas, because they're gonna reach an audience that people like. I'm 40 years old now. I'm still young myself, but I'm not be able to reach later on and everything. So we have to prepare them for the change, but we have to remind them what the purpose of the music and the message is, without getting off track and everything. But yeah, like I said, it changes every 10 years, and I noticed the changes myself, being in this industry myself, and people I know and what I learned over the years. I have witnessed the change myself. But as long as it's gonna change, but the message and the message of hope, it will always remain the same, like the old school gospel singers will say.
Good. Because I know there was a lot of controversy out there
Hmm.
when Rance Allen and Snoop Dogg did that song together.
I remember. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
like that
was a lot.
song. I love
But
it.
this is my thing. Okay,
Go
Snoop gonna
ahead.
do his thing now. He gonna smoke a little reefer. He gonna do his thing.
Right.
But the band, he has a heart of gold. He understands because through his mother's an evangelist. He
Hmm.
knows the word. And I didn't see nothing wrong. I enjoyed the song that him and Rance Allen did in the gospel album that Snoop
Hmm.
put out. I enjoyed it. I mean, I'm not that young no more, but I enjoy the music. And that's what we got to convey to
Hmm.
people. Like you said, it's all about the message.
That's
That's
true.
all it's about. It's about the message. However you can get this message across, that's what we got to do. That's what we got to do. So look, James,
That's true.
tell me about your future plans, man. What you got in store for the future?
Oh, but before I share that with you, I just want to add something, which is about Snoop Dogg and Rance Allen. I
Okay.
remember I remember when Snoop Dogg came out in the early
Mhm.
'90s, when I was
Yeah.
like 11, like 12 years old. And I
Right.
remember that song, that one song that Snoop Dogg, that one song he did, real funny song.
Yeah.
And everything, and because he and Dr. Dre, they all came around the same time.
Right.
That was the gangster rap music moving back
Yeah.
in the night. And
Yeah.
I remember that when I was in elementary and middle school.
Hmm.
And about the song that he did with Rance Allen. Now that song that he did with Rance Allen said himself that he wrote that song years ago, and he said that God revealed to him that he was going to do that with Snoop Dogg.
Hmm.
He did an interview, and look at it now, and
Yeah.
it won him a BET award.
Right.
So
Right.
I don't see anything wrong with that. I like it, and also I remember when the Clark sister. I grew up listening to the Clark sister, so
Hmm.
we rocked the sunshine. But my
Yeah.
future plans, I plan to start a gospel label to help those aspiring artists who went to American Idol, who went to Sunday's Best, and return away, because
Hmm.
as and me being in the industry, and I share this with people, there's a lot of politics in the industry as well. It don't matter how good you could sing, rap. It don't matter if you quartet, contemporary, urban, or what. But
Hmm.
it's still politics in the industry. And I'm that kind of person. It shouldn't be like that. But when you in the industry, it's gospel secular. It's politics in it.
Yeah.
But I'll tell anybody, don't let the politics stop you from pursuing your dream and go in
Hmm.
life. This is what God calls you to do. He's gonna elevate you and take you places, even though you are gonna get criticized and everything. So the record label is one of the projects. As you know, I'm a national published author. I have a memoir called "The Best Is Yet to Come," a testimony of one young man's redemption.
Okay.
This is little old me as a baby. So this book has opened up doors for me to share my
Uh-huh.
story, testimony of redemption. It has blessed me to be on Cornerstone Television Network, Babby Mason Show, a lot
Hmm.
of media outlets all over, even London and Barbados and Nigeria, media
Hmm.
wide. So there's another book in the works, but this next book I'm writing is for the young people. Issues that they're going through, and
Hmm.
what people need to know what they're going through and to relate to them. So I had to put it on hold right now because the organization and other projects. But I do plan to resume working on this book. So I'm looking forward to that, and what God has in store for me, and I'm looking forward to being a husband and father sooner or later because I'm the kind of person when my assignment in this world is completed, when God called me home, brother, I want to leave behind a legacy.
Right.
And I'm a firm believer in that.
Mhm. Well, that's good. That's good. That's good. So, what are your? Give me some parting words. Give us some parting words to the viewers. Give us something good. Tell us something good before you leave.
Oh, sure. I tell anybody, spite of what you're going through, keep on trusting, believing in God, and He will see you through. But I want to talk to our young people who is watching right now because
Okay.
they my heart right there. I have a 4-year-old great niece. I have younger cousins who I love, and they love me. They love their cousin James. they be going to school talking about me to all their friends, talking about we got a famous cousin.
Mhm.
No, really, that's what their mom be telling me. But I want to tell all the young people, if you have a dream, you could do it. Put God first, trust God, respect your elders, and that's very important because that was installed in me as a child. Work very hard, surround yourself with positive-minded people that's going to love you enough to tell you the truth and to give you that push to excellence and greatness, and you will land somewhere. Yes, they're going to talk about you and call you everything but a child of God, but as long as you know who God called you and chose you to be, you will go somewhere. I want to tell all the parents and the adults out there, don't tear down our children. Love them, encourage them, because if you talking down about them, even though they do have their problems, and yes, they're gonna act up and everything, but if you tearing them down, you tearing down their character and their confidence. And when God bless them to be rich and successful and really out there, then you're gonna need their help someday, especially when you are older and you don't have nobody else to go to. And I share that with people. I
Mhm.
really, really, because it needs to be told. It truly needs to be told. So I'm just grateful to God. Thank you all for giving me this opportunity. And you'll be hearing a lot about J.C. Birdsong Jr. And I do have a website and social media pages.
Okay. You want to tell everybody your website and your social media page, how they can find you?
Sure, they could go to www.jamescbirdsongjr.net. That's my official website, and all my social media accounts is there, along with my information, booking information, and also the official website for Birdsong Association of Broadcasting and Arts. Hopefully, this week that will be up because people are waiting for that website to be up for the organization because they want to support it and everything else. So I'm just grateful to God for what He has blessed me to do, and once this pandemic clears, I will resume my traveling and what I have to do.
Oh, okay. Um, hey man, I have really enjoyed talking to you tonight. Just to give you a little
Thank you,
information,
thank you.
I'm also doing an interview where one of my writers has already done an interview with James for the magazine, Urban Sentinel magazine, and I would like my listeners and my viewers to go to issue.com, issuu.com, and get a copy of this month's magazine, which is, it's stocked full of a lot of good articles. Um, and I would really appreciate it if my viewers and listeners would go to issue.com and get a copy of the Urban Sentinel magazine. I think you'll really, really enjoy it. Again, I want to thank my guest, James Birdsong, C. Birdsong Jr., a gospel icon from the ATL, for joining us tonight. And next month magazine, you will see the interview that was done by my writer, Stacey Henry Carr, in the magazine.
Yes,
Now, this has been tonight has been a great night. Monday night, Urban Sentinel Live. We don't go too hard. But if you want to go hard with me tomorrow night and share and tap it, I ask that you join us tomorrow night on Real World News TV for our show tomorrow night, in this show, we deal with politics and deal with the issues of today. And a lot of things have been going on in this country in the past week. And Sharon and I are going to take time to discuss and tear it apart and see where we're going as a country. So that's tomorrow night at 8:30 ET time. Pacific Coast time will be, I believe, 5:30. So come out, enjoy that show tomorrow night. You can go to Real World News TV on Facebook and click into the show and comment. Leave your comments. Questions, and we'll be glad to post your comments and answer your questions. But again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to Urban Sentinel Live tonight, where our guest was James C. Birdsong Jr., a gospel singer. And James, we wish you good luck, and may God continue to bless you and your endeavors as
Thank
you
you.
spread the gospel through your music and through your philanthropy work in Georgia and around the country. So, look, everyone, have a good evening. See you back next Monday night. I tell you, next Monday night, you don't want to miss next Monday night. I've got a great, another great interview next Monday night. So come along every week. We're going to interview some great people like James C. Birdsong Jr. And next week we got a good a person to interview next week, and I think you'll enjoy that person next week also. So good night, everyone. Have a great week. Be blessed.